Did you already start the video? Oh shoot, you already start the video. Hey guys, hold on 1 second. Technical difficulties. Let us get straightened out here, and we're gonna jump
that one.
That one.
It's
that one. Okay.
Beautiful.
Hey, we can't have it be a Monday without some technical difficulties, right? So, welcome everybody. I am Mitzi Redd, and it is my honor to have you guys come not only into my studio, but you also get to be in my home. That handsome guy on the other side you saw there, that would be the husband, Chris, and the kids are around as well. So, we just want to welcome you in. The studio you're in right now with me is what is lovingly referred to in my house as the Janome room. And so I spend a lot of time up here. Obviously, I got some pretty great views from this room, so it's hard not to want to be in here when I'm working. I was really excited this past week when, if y'all watched Kimberly's video, she gave me the shout out on the mask I've been working on and using my quilt binder attachment to make those ties. So it was really exciting and awesome when I got the call from Janome going, hey, you want to do a video? How about you join us on the live stream? So here I am. Here you are with me. So I am so glad you got to come in and hang with me. Where are we at? So I told you we're here in my home studio, and that is here in Maryland. And so we definitely want to see where you're at. How many of my local Marylanders are around here with us? Even my Texans. We sure miss you guys back home as well. I often am referred to as the misplaced Texan being up here. So if you catch the accent, it's what you get. So, but we welcome you in. The storms, we have been in major storms all day. It looks like they've cleared just enough now. We've got good sunshine and sunlight in. Hopefully it stays good for us and the videos go on. But why are we here? Why are you in my studio? Well, as I mentioned, Kimberly, by the way, if you have not had a class with her, you need to. She's amazing. She's a wonderful person. Kimberly actually gave me a shout out last week on her video for the quilt binder attachment. So, and this is what this big foot is basically. And we'll go over with that. But what I've been using it for is to go ahead and put the ties on all the masks I've been making. Now, this is a cute one I did for the husband because he is officially now essential. He always was, but at least now at work he is too. So, did his mask the other day. I know some of us had some concerns about when we were embroidering on these masks, we just opened up a bunch more holes into it than where we originally started with. So let me give you a little reassurance on that because I consider him essential too. After doing the embroidery, I used a fusible stabilizer to go over just that opened embroidery area so that it does close any of those excess holes back up. So you might want to add that in there if you're doing any of the embroidered ones. Also, you saw me open this up. It does have, the style I've been using here, the surgical mask style, does have an opening that would allow you to come in and put in some sort of a filter or whatever you want to add in there to help give that extra layer of protection. These are what I've been making like crazy because they're super easy to go through with my binder attachment to do these ties. So that's what you're going to get to see today. Let me just give you a little rundown on how the process is working for that. There's so many patterns out there. I mean, just an incredible amount. So I went with a 10 by 8 is on my size on this one. And I'm doing a 2-layer. So you can always do a 2-layer. You could do more, whatever you need. So I did a 2-layer on that one. But again, if we're doing the embroidery, if you feel like you want to add an extra layer in there, super easy to do. Come over here, I'm going to show you some of my other machines and where I work with because we're going to come back to that M7 in a second. If you want to go and do any of those cute designs that Kimberly and Danielle showed, they are on the Janome website. Obviously I put the lips up. It'll go next once we get through here. So I do have on my 550E here for the embroidery if I wanted to go ahead and do that. So I like to work kind of in a factory setting, and you'll see that in a little bit, especially when we get to using the binder attachment, because once I get that machine set up, I don't want to change that off very often. So let me show you how I go with making the mask. So we've got our 2 pieces, right? If you order my S9, I have it set up currently with my cloth guide. Thanks, Ann, for showing me how to do that. And I'm using a 1/2 inch seam allowance to go all the way around, obviously except for leaving about that 3 to 4 inch opening for doing the turning and adding your mask. So I start here, then follow me down this way. Obviously then, as I've turned it out, I do have my standard size, but to make the pleats, we want to go ahead, and I have found the easiest option being using the clips, okay? Because you do see it gets pretty thick coming through there. So I'm able to go ahead and put the clips on, and then since my M7 is normally set up, like I said, for that binding attachment, I have found that I like using my little Elnita straight stitch machine here, going over these layers, super easy. So it's a workhorse, plus the color. Y'all see this color? I might have bought it because of the color, just saying. Don't tell the one behind the camera that though.
I heard that.
It's really good though. So, making the pleats. So, I've got my pleats on. I go ahead and stitch these in place before I go to the binder attachment, because I've already got them down nice and tight here. When I'm feeding it through that binder attachment, it just makes it a little bit easier to put it on through. So we're going to go over here at my M7. We're going to go ahead and start getting it set up. And I'm going to walk you through on your binder attachment also. So, well, I get started here. Chris, where's everybody at? Have you been able to see comments?
Oh, I'm seeing Canada. I'm seeing all kinds of comments about, it's kind of dark, I guess. We have a little bit of lighting issue in here. So we'll try to work on it the next time, okay?
Yeah, sorry about that, guys. Hopefully you're able to see everything okay. Like I said, we've had storms coming through. So 1 minute we got the lights adjusted for dark skies, and then the brightness come through. So hopefully we're okay on that. All right, let's talk about with setting up the M7. So your quilt binder set, it actually is a two-piece set. Let me take these screws out here. Plus the foot. The foot comes along with it as well. Now this is an all-in-one set. This one's made for the 9mm Janome machines for your 9mm stitches. And I'll take my screws out of here, because to set it up, there's a couple things you're going to want to do for your machine. I'm going to go ahead and raise my foot up here. Now the foot I have on here, this is the W1 foot. This is what actually came with the set. So I'm going to go ahead and put that foot back on. The first part is my plate, and the plate is what actually fits over and connects onto my, my base plate on here. It does have the bobbin cover, so you're going to want to go ahead and take off your plastic one, put it somewhere safe, make sure it's not lost, and I'm going to recommend having a full bobbin wound right now and ready to go once you get started with it. That just slides right over into place. You do have your little bit taller screw here, and that is going to go ahead and screw into place here on the back. I'm going to give that a little bit tightened down. And now the big binder part. Now this part where our fabric will wind through, it is obviously movable. And you do have two holes here that this is going to fit over. And depending upon what machine you are putting it on, you are able to move and adjust it as needed. So we will go ahead, and once I get the fabric through there, we'll go ahead and see kind of where I'm at. So I'm not going to tighten these down all the way yet. I'm just going to give them enough because I can still come in, loosen that one just a little bit, and make those adjustments depending upon when I get ready to feed my binding through it. Do have the red tip needles is what I did put on here, a Janome red tip of 14. Because what you want to think about is that you are going to be putting on, it's going to be folding that binding over, plus we're going over multiple layers of fabric here. So we want to make sure it's able to get through. Now, this is where you will definitely benefit from having a stiletto, a good sharp set of tweezers through here, because we are going to be wrapping our fabric through, coming down through the line here and feeding it all the way through and out back in order to get this. Now, one of the things I have found that is best to do is, and you will use a 2-inch strip of fabric. I cut, I don't know, probably 60 or more of these, and went ahead and attached them up, same way I would do if I was doing my binding on a quilt, and set them up in a really big roll. I have found the best thing being here is my extra accessory thread holder that holds like your large spools. It's got nice weight to it also, and I can literally just slide that right on and set it off to the side to allow my binding to feed. So our first part here, we're going to go ahead and wind this through. And let me start getting it in there. Okay. Let me get my fabric straightened out. It wants to twist on me, it seems. Let me just do a quick fresh one. And again, having your stiletto to pull it through, tweezers, it'll definitely help you out.
So I come around to the other side, maybe?
Oh, it's going to come this way, so we're probably okay.
Gotcha.
So once we're in here, we do need to start feeding our fabric through the binder. And it's going to start rolling it as it's coming through. So again, I found using the stiletto has been kind of my best option on this. I'm just going to push it through. You'll see that fabric already wanting to start curling. Okay. Just going to give it a nice little smooth push through. And out the edges will go. Now, it does sometimes take a little bit to get it all set and in the right place for where you want it. And that's okay, because we'll just go ahead and run a little bit of test fabric through it, make sure it's setting nicely for us before we go much further. I'm just gonna, now that I've got this laid here, you can see how it's starting to turn those over. I'm just gonna go ahead and give it a little tug and see if we can get it all nice and straight already. Okay. Now you see it's underneath my foot right there. I'm gonna go ahead and lower my foot just to hold it into place. I do have my needle in the center position currently. And of course on our machines, we can certainly move our needle location over, but this is where also this adjustment, it works out really well with these screws because I can move this over. I'm just gonna raise my foot back up and I can slide this over so that without moving my needle, I've got my position exactly where I would want it to be. And you know, that works for not only our mask, but also when you're binding your quilts to make sure you've got it set where you want. Now that I know if I want to put it right there, actually I'm gonna slide mine over just a smidge and more and set it down. I'm gonna go ahead and tighten my screws up, okay? Because I don't want it moving on me while I'm going along. First I'm gonna do from here, I'm gonna go ahead and just put some stitches into it. I wanna go ahead and lock it up, make sure it's all in place. Would you look there? Somebody unthreaded me. See, Kimberly, you're not the only one who gets unthreaded around here too. But it's a perfect time to show how great the needle threader is though too. So I'm just, come on. My foot's in its place right now. And I just put a fresh needle in. I hope I didn't put it in too low. Because 99% of the time that needle threader works perfect except for when you're on a live stream. And then it doesn't want to, I can promise you that. We're gonna go ahead and get it pushed in there. And just get it adjusted real fast for us. It's always those moments when you need it to work that things are gonna happen.
Kimberly is saying that Cheeto must have visited.
Cheeto probably did visit. He has some friends that live here at the house, and it's very likely that Cheeto did visit and changed out where my thread is at as well. So it's very likely. My version of Cheeto is named Ella. So, all right, we're threaded again. So I'm gonna go ahead and drop that down like I mentioned. I'm gonna hold on to the thread this time, even though it's really not necessary, but I just wanna make sure I am in there. All right, so we got a couple of stitches, and you can see as I feed it through, you know, I've got mine sitting kind of on the edge. Let me go ahead and adjust that over a little bit more. Because I do want, I'm going to cut my threads for this one. I do want it over just a little bit more catching on that binding when I put it through. But that'll help give you a little bit more of a professional look on it. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Now, one of the reasons why this one I think works better than like the little binder fit, and I was asked, you know, does this one work as well? It does fine, but being that it's a more narrow space, it really doesn't give us as much room to put through, especially our quilts if we're using the bigger quilts. So I like having this space because when I'm coming through to put my multiple pleats into, we want to make sure it's going to go through smooth. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to drop that back down, put a few stitches in, and then I'm just literally just sliding that in. Now it may get a little tight in there, but you want to just give it the time and let your machine take it through. Mine slid over just a little bit where I wanted that at. I'm gonna slide my plate over one more time. It takes some adjustments, guys, so don't feel like you're gonna, first time's gonna get it every time. I'm gonna adjust it over just a smidgen more because when it starts to feed through, I do want it to feed through with a little bit more meat on there as it's putting those stitches in. Okay, but you can see just as you're going along, it's gonna start putting those stitches in, it's gonna lock it in. You can get super close like that, you can get further out. It really depends upon where you want your stitches to fit at. So one of the questions I always get asked is, well, how big do I make my ties? Most of them I'm seeing the style as far as the ties are about a 16-inch or so is what you want, maybe smaller, especially if you're doing it for a U-size mask. So what I've done is, I know on the back of my table where my quilt leaf starts out at, and so what I will do is I'll go ahead and run a tie all the way down, just stitching it out before I add my mask into it. And then as I add my mask into it, I'm going to go ahead and run it all the way down again before I cut my fabric. Repeat on the other side as well. By doing that in the end, I may have to even up my ties a little bit, pull them in closer together, but that's okay because I get a little bit more consistent on my ends. I want to lock in those ends. I know these are going to get washed, so what I want to do then afterwards is I go back to my straight stitch. When this is on, we're going to leave it on. I'll go back to my straight stitch and I'll just put some stitches in on those ends, curl them under and lock them down. But that way, having this on here, you're able to get a nice clean stitch on the end. You're able to add those ties on there, which we want. And then, you know, especially if the person you're making for is here in the home with you, then you can certainly measure them to make sure the ties are fitted, you know, the best for you. So I encourage you to certainly make tons and tons of these. Where here at home, we've got tons that have already been made. These are all ready to just be tucked under on those end ties, and then go ahead and close those up. I've got a stack over here that goes on the machine next. That's about 60 of them, I think is what it was, that I finished up last night. And, you know, then we'll always have more. I've got them certainly plenty of being donated out. We want to fill all of our first responders and whoever needs them with more than we can. Let me tell you one quick thing though. If you need supplies for masks, whether it be the quilt binder attachment I'm showing you, the binder foot, fabric, if you like the elastic better, even though it's really hard to find right now, don't forget your local dealers. They are working so hard. A lot of them are closed as far as the storefront, but they're doing online. They're doing curbside pickups. They're coming out in full gear to get the machine out of your car to do your service and repair. And they need us right now as much as we need them, that's for sure. So contact your local dealer. If they don't have the binder set in stock, I'm sure they can get on order for you. But think about them. They've always been there for us, and we need to also be them for them. So, to wrap up, we have seen over the past few days with these videos who all's hanging out in our studios with us. Kimberly, obviously Cheeto passed some information over to Ella to let Ella know to unthread my machine. So we've got, most of us quilters have cats, obviously. We're getting by around here. This was planned before everything closed down. But I want to introduce you guys to Cooper. So Cooper is getting to has joined us here at home. And so he's always hanging out in my studio, trying to swipe fabric and do whatever mess he can do. Max is coming over because heaven forbid Cooper gets all the attention without Max getting acknowledged too. So these two are hanging out with me as I work. So in your comments, I want to see who's in that. Okay, don't be too jealous. I want to see who's hanging out with you too. Show us all those great pets that are helping you. Keep making the masks. Keep working hard. We're going to need them. We need to get them out to all those that need them, whether it be our first responders or even, you know, just our neighbors. Check in on everybody. But, you know, when it comes down to something like this, you couldn't ask for a better group to do this. I mean, come on, guys. We're quilters. We have a stash for this that will last us through any pandemic. So I want to thank you very much for joining me. I haven't got to see you in the comments yet, but I will definitely be jumping in here in a little bit. So please come, you know, leave comments if you have questions. myself, or the amazing Janome team is right here ready to take care of you. So again, take care, stay healthy, stay home, but check in with those dealers and see what they can do for you. Thank you guys so much for coming into my home today.